not even close. Nuggets Nation, want to bring your mile-high energy to OKC. Enter the fan flyaway sweepstakes at nuggets.com for the chance to compete to win 2 tickets to a Nuggets away game in OKC, round-trip airfare for 2, and a one-night hotel stay. Winners will be determined through a Pop-A-Shot contest outside of Denver Union Station the morning of the away game. Don't miss out and enter now. While we have a couple of free minutes here, Jordan, let's go ahead and listen to a couple of minutes of David Adelman, and then we've got Andy on. Okay, we'll hear from Coach Adelman here in just a bit, but there is Andy Lindahl. Andy, thrilling win for the Nuggets, 121-119. Just your initial thoughts and reaction to the game.
I don't even know what to think, Dan. I don't know. I don't know.
How did they win this game? How?
Yeah, the box score is ugly. I told my buddy I was watching the game with about 5 times. Just get the starters out. It's all right. Valiant effort, every time they get close, OKC would run it back up. Nobody could hit. It felt like nobody could hit a shot, Dan, right? And I'm amazed. I still don't even know how Jamal Murray got over 20 points tonight. It felt like Jamal couldn't hit anything tonight, of note anyway. And somehow they got it done. Jamal, did Nikola go 5-10 minutes playing with those 5 fouls? I don't know how he didn't foul out.
Almost the entire fourth quarter.
Here's what I'm going to tell everybody, and I know I get some crap online sometimes. You get crap for everything online, so there's no surprise there. For those of you that didn't get a chance to watch John Elway will the Broncos to victories, this is what it was like. This is what it was like. They had no business winning that game. They weren't in the game most of the night, it felt like, after OKC overtook their first initial lead. And look, I credit Aaron Gordon for making a 3. I think Aaron Gordon's been his best teammate throughout the playoffs. He's just been amazing right here. But I'm just telling you, I get some Bronco fans that always get upset with me. This is what it was like, because John Elway led so many victories where you get done and you're just like, how did they win that game? I mean, no one's complaining. Don't get me wrong. But you look at the numbers, like Ramona Shelburne basically just got done asking David Adelman, how do you explain this? You didn't win any of the box score other than the score itself, right? I don't know, Dan. Look, you got this one. This is the first loss for OKC in the playoffs. This is their first adversity. Here's what I'm very excited about. Not so much that you found a way to get out this win. Now go get Wednesday, right? Now go see if this young team starts to feel the pressure of not being able to get it done in the playoffs. Because it's amazing they won tonight. It just is.
Well, and Andy, when you and Nate were leaving, I told you guys, I think the Nuggets are winning tonight, and I think they're going to win this series. And I told D-Mac on the post-game show after Game 7 against the Clippers, I picked the Nuggets to win this series because of kind of just what you said. The Nuggets have all of the experience in the world. They've been in these situations so many times, and I still do think, for as good as Oklahoma City is, and they are very good, they're still a little bit too inexperienced, in my opinion. And I think that kind of tells the story of why they kind of collapsed down the stretch tonight. They just don't have that experience. And Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, they all do. And I do think that is going to be a big factor in this series. Is there the tons of experience that the Nuggets have and the lack of experience that the Thunder have?
Well, one thing that one example to back up your point would be Caruso, of all guys, fouling Gordon when Nikola Jokic was on the sideline. I don't think people realize, maybe you did, maybe you didn't. The Nuggets did not have a timeout. And there Nikola Jokic stood helplessly with really no way to check back in. If the Thunder don't foul with like 1 second off the clock, then they don't get Nikola back in. They could have made the Nuggets play 10 seconds without their best player. And instead, Caruso, he fouls Gordon the minute he gets, again, it's not only that he fouls him, Dan, you're not even just going to let a couple seconds run off the clock at that point. You guys aren't the ones that are stressed. It's the Nuggets, right?
Yeah.
And so it's just little stuff like that. The other thing I think is amazing, because I've been watching the Altitude post game. For those that don't know, even though we're not carrying the games, Altitude TV still doing a post game show if you want to watch some of that. But I watched a little of the TNT post game, and Charles Barkley said it perfectly. You know, Charles has always been one of Nicola's big supporters. Not that all those guys are Nicola supporters, especially now, but Charles pointed it out. He's coaching the team, and that's not to take away from David Adelman. But you know, the other thing I was amazed by was it's like the fourth quarter, they had like 5 minutes left. Did you see Nicola is at the top? I think Jamal was handling the ball, and Jokic is literally directing everybody where to go. He's calling for cuts and spacing in the middle of the play. It's just so ridiculous. And I like I said, because that was an ugly game. Let's be honest about it. It was
Yeah,
kind
the
of an ugly
turnovers
game.
were atrocious, Andy.
Lots of fouls, lots of missed shots, frustration at the free throw line. But you know what? I'm going to borrow. I saw Sanford tweet this. They drug him out into the middle of the water and drowned him. And that's what you got to do.
Yeah, they did, man, and that's what experienced championship level teams do, Andy. Okay, Michael Porter Jr. tonight. That was probably, unfortunately, the biggest negative takeaway from tonight's game. He did end up playing 24 minutes. You could just tell, like, really early on. I think that Mike's shoulder, it just looked like it was bugging him more than it was even in the Clippers series. Now, I could be wrong about that. That's just kind of what it looked like from my perspective. Were you surprised that Adelman kept him out there as long as he did? Because you could tell, Andy, early on in this game that Michael just was not feeling it tonight. I mean, he plays 24 minutes, shoots 1 of 8 from the field, doesn't hit a 3 in 3 attempts, and was a minus 15 and 2 points. What are your thoughts on MPJ moving forward in this series? DMAC said, don't write him off, and I'm not, but I was a little surprised that Adelman kept him out there as long as he did.
Well, I had said this to Nate on the afternoon show today. They've had, or maybe I said it to him in a break. As you remember when you said what anymore. But I think OKC's had a chance to really watch the tape and really realize how bothered he is by that shoulder. He's trying to do everything one-handed, and they realized it. And I felt like they ran him through more picks than what I was surprised the Clippers were choosing to do. But look, I would imagine for Mike, even getting contact on that opposite side of the rib cage has got to hurt when you've got a bad shoulder like he does. And I think, what were they? Do you have the stats in front of you? I'm sure you do. What did they finish from 3-point line tonight?
The Nuggets shot 10 of 32, 31.5%.
Yeah, I'm sure Adelman just felt like, can he please just hit a few threes? Because, Dan, nobody was hitting threes. Now, again, what's crazy about it is Joker hits that 3 in the fourth quarter and kind of sparks their actual push over the finish line. But other than that, they were not hitting a lot of threes tonight. So I just think he was hoping, and I think he also was hoping Mike's size would bother some people. Now, to your point, now that Adelman's seen what it is, I think you talked to him about how does his shoulder feel. You got to be a little bit careful. The win is great because with the win, you're not quite so desperate Tuesday, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't go be desperate. Let's not go give and get, if you can go get a 2-0 hold and really make them feel the pressure coming back, you got to go do it. But maybe you don't need to play Mike so much. You saw Strother out there, which kind of surprised me, Dan.
Yeah, in the first quarter.
But maybe you got to do a little of that, Dan. At some point, like my only concern, I don't think, you and I are not allowed to talk about how injured I think some guys really are. Okay. I think people are going to be shocked when they start to talk about what everybody was fighting through. I'm already getting all this crap on Twitter, and it's fine. That's what Twitter, I guess, has turned into for not having faith in the Nuggets to win this series like you did. And I will confirm that Dan did tell me today that they were going to both win tonight and the series. But I just think this is a beat-up team. It's a beat-up team. I think Joker in particular is one of the guys that's fighting through some stuff. I think it's affecting his shots at all times. I think his back's a little sore. I think his elbow's out. His elbow was even more wrapped tonight, you probably noticed, Dan, than it's been in the past. So I think that elbow's a little bit of an issue. But you know what? They found a way to do it. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Maybe can Najee Can Najee come in and give you a little length against this team at all? They don't trust his hands clearly,
Hmm.
but I do think you're going to have to probably dial down. So I would try to dial down some of MPJ's minutes to see if he couldn't come back and feel himself in Denver, so you can make sure you get some good 3-point shooting for those games.
Yeah, I
How
mean,
about that?
I would be okay, Andy, if MPJ's shoulder is bothering him. And look, I'm not advocating for him to just like be taken out of this series. I still think he has value, and like you said, specifically shooting the 3-pointer. But like, I'd be okay if Adelman decided to throw Julian Strother out there for a couple of extra minutes for Michael, because he does provide. I mean, he's your best 3-point shooter coming off the bench, and to your point, man, like they struggled shooting the basketball tonight. And I do think Julian Strother is a guy that could come in there and hit a couple of threes for you, if it's just not going Michael's way. So it wouldn't surprise me to see Julian Strother get a little bit more run in this series. As far as Zeke goes, I doubt we'll see him. I think they would go to DJ before they go to
I'm
Zeke
just looking
Naji.
for length.
Well,
They need
and
some
DJ
size
can
in there,
provide that, can't he?
I'm with you. Hey, look, everybody seems to hate DJ. I
I
got no
don't.
problem with DJ.
I like
You know,
DJ.
yeah, if you can get 10 minutes a game out of him, just
That's all
5
they
minutes
need.
in the second and the fourth quarter for Joker to rest.
Yes.
It's all
Yes.
you're looking for, and don't let him blow the doors off you while he's not in there. By the way, and listen, this is more to your point where they're going to have to think about something. Because when you watch that a couple of those final plays, Russ is fighting through picks. Russ had that one. Was it SGA where they knocked the ball away late? I think Russ knocked it away. Watson got it. They went and turned it into points. Like that's what you need to be able to do. And I don't think Porter can put his shoulder down and fight through the picks right now. So yes, I think you do have to alter his minutes. I got to ask you this too, Dan. Am I losing my mind, or are they actually learning how to play a little bit of defense? Is this not the best defense we've seen this team play all season?
Well, Andy, what they're doing, and they were really good at this the year they won the championship. They were like middle of the pack as far as like defensive rating went in 2023, the year they won a title. Now, the defense shored up a lot in the playoffs, but they were the number one clutch time defense in the tight game in the fourth quarter with under 5 minutes to go. They were the best clutch time defense that year. And I think that's what we're starting to see a little bit of in these playoffs. I mean, look at the last 5 minutes of this game. They got multiple kills, which is 3 stops in a row. Malone used to famously call it that. So you're right. Like the defense overall wasn't great tonight for the Nuggets, but it was in the crunch times of this game. And without it, they don't win this game, Andy. I think that's maybe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, a little bit of what we're seeing right now.
No, I can't explain it, Dan. Now, again, to your point early on, they did leave that corner 3 open again, driving me crazy because Caruso drives me nuts, dude. Caruso is my Jamie Benn of this.
Wow.
I don't like his face. I just don't. Well, because he's put together from spare parts. Okay, he looks like the dude that you'd find at the rec center. That if you're feeling about, like, I'd go at him. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go get you
that guy
with your bald head and your dumb headband and all that stuff. Like Hartenstein and Chet's tall. Hartenstein's kind of yoked up. You don't want to mess with those dudes. Right. But Mr. Spare Parts over there, Lou Dort, like all the half of the Oklahoma City's bench looks like they should be playing football. You know what I mean? Because they're all so yoked up. But then there's just Caruso's out. Like, again, he just looks like he got done playing Vic at the DAC, and now all of a sudden he's raining threes on you in an NBA playoff game.
Caruso looks like the place kicker.
Exactly. Just, you know what? If a team's going to beat us, I want them to beat us with like dudes that don't look like you found him at the rec center, I guess is all I'm saying. But hey, man, we got to credit Russell Westbrook. I'm telling you, Russell, we're back in a place where, and I think he described his game perfectly. Listening to Russ the other night after Game 7,
that was amazing.
I do really wish he would talk more, because you know what, Russ? Nobody thinks you're stupid. We know you don't get to where you are in the NBA if you're not a smart guy. I just wish you talk the game with us a little bit more. And the way he talked about how he knows his job is to mess stuff up. And sometimes it goes well and sometimes it goes bad, but I'm out there to create chaos. I thought it was very insightful into the guy's mindset, and I wish we would have heard stuff like that earlier. but he brings a toughness and an attitude. He brings the Bruce Brown attitude I think this team has been missing.
Yeah, and you know what? In a game where you only had one day off after a grueling 7-game series, you're right, man. He brings the juice for this team, and they needed every bit of it tonight. It was cool seeing the Thunder crowd. They actually gave Russ a standing ovation the first time he went out onto the court. That was really cool to see. But, as much grief as Russ has gotten at times this year, Andy, with the Nuggets, and look, some of it rightfully
deserved.
so. Some of it rightfully so. There's no doubt about that. He's been awesome in these playoffs so far, man. Like, the job he's done, I mean, he's been by far their best bench player. And Peyton Watson's playing some good defense. He's not contributing a lot on the offensive end, but that's not really what he's out there to do. And he had another couple of big blocks tonight, did Peyton Watson. So that's great to see. But the job Russell Westbrook is doing in these playoffs, I was not expecting it to be to this level. So that's been really cool to see, man.
By the way, I found Caruso. He's in my house. I mean, look at him. There he is right there. It's Caruso.
Andy is showing us his what's your dog's
pug.
name, Andy?
This is Zed. He was named after a Mammoth player, Zed Williams, by my kids. But Zed is a big yoked up, like my boxer should have been named Zed, but our boxer came with the name Toby. So anyway, yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, that's what Caruso looks like to me right there. Okay, if I took his collar and put it around his head,
a video of his. Is that a pug?
Yeah.
Is that a pug?
Yeah.
Wow. So Alex Caruso reminds you of a pug.
He wanted to come running in here and talk to you when he heard me, and so now he's just chilling, and we'll see how long he stays there. All right. So now I still predicted they would lose in 7 because I do think the Nuggets' experience would give them to 7 games, but I thought that the OKC crowd would maybe get OKC over the top. Now that OKC's dropped game 1, even though you told me that they would win the series, you didn't tell me how many games.
I said 6. I said in 6.
Okay. Yeah, you know what you did. Okay. Do you think it's 5?
No, I'm going to stick with 6.
What do you think?
No, I'm going to stick with 6.
Okay.
Yeah. But like I said, man, I'm confident. And they cannot stop Nikola Jokic, Andy. Like, they don't have the bodies to do it. And, as good as Chet is, what does that dude weigh? Like 150 pounds and he's 7'3"? Like, he can't go body to body with Nikola Jokic. He's going to eat his lunch.
No, and I think this is where I think having to face Zubats and that tough.
It's a way tougher matchup for Jokic.
Well, and I think the Nuggets got physical with those guys. Now, again, look, we got to get Jamal Murray, and it's so weird that Jamal Murray had, what do you have, 22 points? 21 points?
Yeah.
He's got to get going a little more than he was tonight. Like, I'm still trying to piece together how he got 21. It didn't feel like he had 21.
Well, he had 7 of 8 free throws. That helped. Yeah, but, like, you're right, man. The fact that they won this game and Jamal scores 21 and shoots 6 for 16 from the field, just 2 of 7 from 3, I'm still trying to wrap my head around exactly how they won this game, Andy. But I think we mentioned it earlier. The clutch time defense towards the end of the game was one of the big reasons why the Nuggets were able to pull out this win.
Yeah, and it's just they know how to win games in the playoffs. They know it's going to be ugly. And again, that end of the game was weird. I did not understand why OKC. Look, the Nuggets had not shot threes well all night, so why did you keep fouling them?
Well, D-Mac said that Dagnall said in his postgame press conference that's just what they do, and I guess that is just their strategy. But I'm with you, man. I couldn't believe they started fouling that early. That was ridiculous. That cost them the game.
Yeah, you know what? Once upon a time, the Pittsburgh Steelers defensive coordinator said he never came out of man coverage, and that's what Tim Tebow beat to move on in the playoffs. So Dagnall better think about his philosophy. It's okay to change your philosophy if a team isn't, because again, did you feel like they could throw it in the ocean? Like I again, my buddy that I was sitting with here tonight, I just was like, if they got to hit a 3, I don't even know who I want taking the 3. Nikola had been very iffy. Like, who had the best? Did anybody end up going?
Aaron Gordon. He was 3 of 6. He was their best percentage-wise 3-point shooter tonight. And good thing he ended up taking the last one, right?
That is just so. And look, for everybody out there, I will say too, because Nate and I are going to eat our crow tomorrow. Trust me, we've already got it in the works. But if you go and look at the stats of teams that have 8 or more days off versus a team that's had 1 day off, not only is it like 4 and 20 or something with the teams losing, most of the losses come by more than 20 points, Dan.
Wow.
So it's pretty amazing what the Nuggets did there tonight, period.
Andy, great stuff, man. Really appreciate you jumping on the show. Thank you.
All right, we all say goodbye. Goodbye.
All right,
Caruso
goodbye,
says
Andy's
goodbye.
pug, as he's waving his cute little paw in my face. Thank you, Andy. All right, there he goes. Andy Lindahl. Tune in starting at 3 tomorrow for Kreckman and Lindahl. And yeah, they're going to be eating some crow. They were making fun of me just a little bit when I said that the Nuggets were going to win tonight and win this series. But I stand by that. And like I said, look, this is going to be a tough series. Make no mistake about it. I mean, OKC is going to punch back at various points throughout this series. But I really do think with the experience that the Nuggets have is what's gonna pull them through in order to win this series. And by the way, not just the players, but their head coach doesn't have a whole lot of experience either, like we saw tonight. And I would expect if they're in this same sort of situation that Mark Daigneault will change up his strategy because it clearly cost them this game tonight. So great stuff. All right, the Nuggets are in the second round, and that means Altitude Sports Radio 92.5 want to get you inside Ball Arena for the game. Stay tuned for details on when you can win those tickets on the radio. Your radio home for the Denver Nuggets is Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. Speaking of head coaches, David Adelman, what a job he has done so far in this series. We'll hear from him coming up next.
Free throw number 1. Missed it! That's a big miss. Now this next one to go up by 2. Now they can't foul anymore. So Denver's going to have a shot here. Boy, this would be a huge miss. Second free throw, Holmgren. Missed it again. Rebound down to Christian Brown. You got to hurry. 7 seconds. Front court over to Westbrook. Left side Gordon for the win. Yeah! 2.8 seconds left coming back the other way. Williams from half court. Baked it no good at the horn. And the Denver Nuggets shock the Oklahoma City Thunder in game number 1. Final tonight, 121 to 119. Oh, baby! Aaron Gordon, the game winner.
Yeah, that was Jason Kosmiski on the call. Welcome back to In the Paint, Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. The Nuggets get the thrilling 121 to 119 victory in game 1 of their second round series in OKC. Home court advantage, Denver Nuggets. Cuban Benny on the Shop Mazda text line, 303-504-0925. This is awesome. Cuban Benny says, AG for 3, in the paint with DT. Here's the real MVP, Nugs in 7. Way to go, Cuban Benny. That is absolutely fantastic, and I appreciate that very, very much. We got a text from North Carolina. People are tuning in from North Carolina from the 336. The Nuggets finally figured out OKC as the game went on. That's why the defense looked better and better as the game progressed. Yeah, I mean, maybe they did, maybe they did figure something out with the Oklahoma City Thunder. We'll see if that can carry over to game 2. But the Nuggets this is what they do, folks. Their clutch time defense has always been pretty dang good. And I credit a lot of that to Nikola Jokic. He's such a basketball genius that he can, over the course of a game and over the course of a series, I think he can start to figure things out. And, I mean, my goodness, how many times did the TNT camera crew pan to Nikola Jokic on the sidelines just coaching up his guys? It was incredible to watch. And Nikola Jokic tonight, everyone, like I said earlier, Shea's probably going to win the MVP, but there's no doubt about who the best basketball player in this series is and in the league is. And it's number 15 for the Denver Nuggets, and it's not particularly close. He was outstanding tonight, 42 points for Joker, 22 rebounds. He had 20 rebounds by the end of the third quarter. Only 6 assists. That's the number that is a little concerning because, like I've always said, the Nuggets are at their best when Nikola Jokic doesn't have to score 42 points and take 29 shots. This team has shown over the course of the Nikola Jokic era that when he's able to distribute the basketball primarily, this is when this team is at their best. But look, sometimes there's just games where Joker understands that his guys' shots aren't falling and he's got to take over the burden, the majority of the scoring for this team. And that's kind of what we saw tonight, and they were able to pull out the win. Okay, so David Adelman, who's now 5-3 in these playoffs, he takes over for Michael Malone with 3 games left in the regular season. Jamal Murray called him an offensive genius after the game. David Adelman has been stellar so far in these playoffs for the Denver Nuggets. Here is the interim head coach, David Adelman's post-game comments.
Coach, it looked like Nikola refused to let you lose. At the same time, he's losing his temper. The crowd's on him. Just can you go over what you saw from him in the 18-point fourth quarter? Felt like he was everywhere, including maybe in his own head, their head, and just a lot going on in that last quarter with him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the crowd affects him ever. I did think the physicality, they were bringing 3 and 4 bodies at him. He had to play through that. He had some unbelievable finishes around the basket. And the biggest thing for us was he finally saw the three-point shot go in. And with their drop coverage and the way they played, that put them in much longer rotations, which puts him in closeout situations where he can actually handle it, spin, score in the paint. And him playing in the middle of the floor as opposed to on the block is hard because now you're really having to bring bodies, 15, 16 feet away from him as opposed to on the block. You have a set defense to rotate and take him away. So, Jamal was great early. Nikola was great late and, throughout as usual. But once again, like I said, a lot of guys stepping up, and it's just cool to see Aaron Gordon be the guy that finishes it.
You mentioned the mentality being consistent throughout. What do you feel like that's a product of with this team?
They're just for each other. It's like I just never saw anything where you're going, yeah, we're kind of losing it. Maybe competitively, because that's what happens in a playoff game. Both teams, they want this so bad. But just the communication on the bench, it wasn't about blaming somebody. It was about how can we do this better. What can we do better in a cross match? What can we do better with Shea? That's what it was, even down whatever it was, with the last couple minutes to go. So when you have that and you're just communicating about trying to win a game and not all the other crap that can go on, you give yourself a chance. And we did. The ball bounced our way. We got an opportunity, and Aaron knocked it down.
David. How did you guys win a game where you had 18 turnovers, they had 23 points off those turnovers? Like I think you only made 9 threes all night. How did you win this game?
Yeah, we hit the glass. We had, 27 second chance points. That's just all effort on a night where shots are not going in. Unfortunately, they outscored us in fast break 27-21, but 21's a great number. And then we talked about this, the best paint defense maybe I've ever seen. And to get 54 in this building in a playoff game, what that means is you're working really hard to try to stay in the game. And when things may not be going your way, you only make 10 threes, the assist totals are low, but we just played hard and played together. And like I said, it doesn't mean you're going to win every game that way, but you're going to give yourself a great chance. And we did that, and things worked out for us.
Yeah, I know it's kind of pick your poison, so it leaves a lot of open threes. What do you think about the effort on SGA to at least make it hard for them, and then you just kind of accept some of those, not that you want to leave wide open threes, or I guess how do you maybe limit some of those and still?
Yeah, I think when we look at the tape, I give Lou Dort and Caruso so much credit. Those shots, just because they're open doesn't mean they're easy shots in a game like this. It speaks to the depth of their team. And yes, we can do a better job of helping on Shea, Jalen, but still getting out and getting a decent contest. But sometimes, just like with us, you have to let somebody shoot the ball when you're playing a first-team All-NBA player, 2 All-Stars that break you down and ISO you. So, our effort can get better, and that's the great thing about tape. You can go back and watch it, show it to the guys. This is a very honest group. They're easy to direct in those ways. So winning a game like this is good, obviously, but we can get better.
David.
All right, those are the post-game comments of Nuggets interim head coach David Adelman as the Nuggets get the 121-119 victory in Game 1, Round 2 against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Before we get out of here, this is pretty cool. Nikola Jokic has now scored 20 or more points in 24 consecutive road playoff games. It's the longest streak by any NBA player since Michael Jordan did so in 37 straight games from 1990 to 1995. It's always cool when Nikola Jokic is getting mentioned in the same sentence as the greatest basketball player that's ever lived in Michael Jordan. So he's been incredible. Like I said before the series started, anytime you have Nikola Jokic, anytime you have the best basketball player on planet Earth, you got a shot. And that's what we saw tonight. Joker was absolutely dominant in the Nuggets' thrilling 121-119 win. All right, that's going to do it for the post-game show tonight, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. What a win for the Nuggets, and we will be back coming up on Wednesday for Game 2. We'll see if the Nuggets can take a 2-0 series lead over the team that finished with the best record in the NBA. It's 68-14, but they did just go 2-2 against the Denver Nuggets. And I think the Nuggets have a really good shot in this series. But we'll see how Game 2 fares coming up on Wednesday night. Thank you so much for listening to In the Paint right here on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5.